Basic Architect. Yeah, we're at our offsite build. Now, in the last video, I went over all the components to getting the window ready to be installed, right? We talked about the back dam, we talked about the rip sill underneath, we talked about the slope flashing, how we turn our weather resistant barrier on the inside. If you haven't seen that video, go check it out. And we're about to go over here and catch up with the window just before it gets installed, but we also have some of the flashing here. But before we talk about that, let's talk about how these windows get installed. So we have our Schuko window. I'm gonna perform a little magic for you. Oh, fell right out of my hand. You're supposed to just slide out of my sleeve into my hand. Be magic, but the way European windows, now notice there is no nailing flange on these windows, right? They basically get suspended in the opening, and we'll see that because we have another example just around the corner that we'll go check out. But the question then is, well, how do these get installed? Notice that we have this wide track here, and it has a little lip there and a little lip on this side, on both sides. Now, notice we have this metal clip, and it just so happens to have these two teeth that have that opening. So I can basically put that in there, set it so that they are riding underneath those rails, and then simply rotate this into place. And notice I can have that whole window. And these typically, we do one within about 4 inches from each corner, and then we'll do one in the middle. Down the side, we'd probably do 3, and then we do 3 at the bottom. So a window this size that's, I don't know, it's probably about 30 inches wide, 4 feet tall, we're talking 12 of those clips. Now, one of the issues with the clips is because of where we're placing the window, the clips extend a little further inside of the stud work. So what the homeowner here did, who's actually installing the windows, he actually took these and figured out exactly how much he needed and then cut them down to size. So we still have the 2 holes of attachment, but he's cutting off this excess before it even gets installed. So the smaller one now would just go in and basically rotate into place here. And then you see we have that hole there where we will then screw in for the attachment on the system. So a few little tips and tricks there of the 2 attachments, attachment type systems. Now there is also, this is a fixed unit, but on an operable unit where you can actually open the sash, they make what's called a turbo screw. And I think we have one installed somewhere. It might be the one around the corner that actually has the turbo screws installed. And those basically get installed. It's a straight screw right through the frame. I know I've done a number of videos, so you can go check out some of the other window installs, but I think it's over there around the corner. But let's take a little look at the window install here. So there's our back dam. There's that leading edge to keep water from blowing up into the system. And then we have our slope sill, and then that goes down. We have our fully protected edge, like we talked about, and that goes all the way around the window. One of the tools, I remembered to grab it, but this is from a company called Quick Flash. It's actually one of my favorite flashing tools. It actually has a soft roundover edge, but it also has a hard corner edge, and that allows you to get right in that corner and see that zip stretch tape nice and neatly in there. And I gotta say, you know, the homeowner did a beautiful job here, but you know, this is just a really good tool for that, as well as for just basically, you know, as the spatula. Now, for those of you not familiar with it, Zip System, who's the makers of the zip sheathing as well as the zip R sheathing, we're using their zip R9 here, They are the manufacturers of zip stretch tape and straight flash. So, or basically flashing tape, it's called. So the straight flash doesn't have the ability to conform to a corner. That's why we call it straight flash or flashing tape. It basically is meant to be on the straight runs. Notice at the corners here, there, and here, and the bottom one is actually one complete piece. That's where we're using the stretch tape. And the reason for that is that stretch tape has the ability to not only turn the corner here, but fold out around the corner and develop the sill flashing on the outside here. So you can see again, back dam, and notice that our stretch tape has to be long enough where it can capture the outside by, I mean, typically I would say about 3 inches or so, come up the face of our sloped siding, and then come up and get onto the back dam. Now this is a damn near perfect installation where he aligned it with the inside, but it just needs to come up and basically get successfully on that back dam, because we should never, when the window's installed, we should never have water up here. That's the whole purpose of the back dam, is to keep that water in this pan and drain it out. Now, after the window gets installed, we'll have our rain screen system on the outside, and that water will just roll out into that rain screen system, go down, and find its pathway there. But let's jump around the corner. We actually have a window here installed. You can also see the homeowner setup. Before we talk about the window, understand that the homeowner is doing a bunch of work here himself, and while the window installer, they do, for a price, offer, you know, they'll come out here and install all of the windows for you as a subcontractor. But the homeowner took it upon himself and said, no, I'll do it myself, and actually then figured out a system of how can I lift these. Remember, they're triple glazed windows. Some of the smaller ones, yeah, they might only be, you know, 200 pounds or so, 150 pounds, but we have some windows and doors in here that are probably 700, 800 pounds, some window systems that might be up in the 400, 500 pound range. So the ability to do that and do the work alongside it, the client's ingenuity set up a little system where you can see here. He has his Grabo here, which is basically a suction cup system that he links to a come-along. And basically that allows him to lift the window in place, use the air pillows, for to slide in the side and basically set that window nice and tight in the opening. Now that come-along has a 1-ton rated lifting capacity, so it's more than adequate for everything that we're doing here. And you can see here, we have all of our metal clips. Our window is set down inside that system. And on the side here, I think we can just see it. We have some shims, but you can see there we have the turbo screw. And that's basically a screw that comes in from the side. And yeah, here's the picture of that turbo screw. And basically the turbo screw is designed so that it doesn't pull on the jamb laterally. It basically spins in that opening, and when it gets to the point where it's needed to go here, it just basically stops, and you can't really bend that window frame any. But you can see he has it all shimmed out. We have the hardware here. All right, so with the window installed, we can just run through the operation of a tilt-turn window for those of you not familiar with it, right? We could turn that and then pull, and you see we get full access to the outside here. And then if I take that and rotate it another 90, you can see it tilts in, and that's the tilt or the venting option. Now, one of the things that's hard for American culture to wrap its head around is with European windows. This is how Europeans consider the window open. Americans like to open it and use the turn function, but the turn function is really about just having the ability to clean the window easily. This, it drops the window in about 7 inches, and it allows you to vent the room properly. The turn function is nothing more than opening it to clean it. Now, before we close out the video, I'm gonna let you take a walk out far on the ramp, and then I'm gonna come out because we can, with the little landing ramp here, we can see our window. And it's important to understand, again, because it's a flangeless window, it's basically suspended in the opening. Any water that does get into our system will simply fall to gravity, fall to our pan, and then roll out here and go down onto our rain screen system. So that's the water mitigation path. As far as airtightness goes, we'll air seal the window on the inside edge with a foam sealant, but then we'll also use a Sega tape, and we will fully tape the interior perimeter. And we could talk about that in here. All right, we'll foam seal right along this edge, but then we'll basically tape from the window frame over, and we'll connect to our weather-resistant barrier. Now, remember, from the very first video, this weather-resistant barrier is taped to the face. So when you're talking about continuity, and it's kind of like the ankle bone's connected to the knee bone, leg bone, that whole song, well, we have our weather-resistant barrier on the outside. That folds in, that fold is taped. The weather-resistant barrier is foam sealed to the window, but then the window is also taped to that weather-resistant barrier, and then that completes the continuity for our airtightness, right? It'd be real easy to build a house if we never put windows in it. We could get it super airtight, and as a matter of fact, I've done it, and we're talking like down to 0.1, 516 airtightness at 50 pascals, because I've actually tested one of our houses before we've installed the windows to get it there. But anyways, that'll give you the quick rundown on how these windows get installed. And I gotta say, this is absolutely one of the best installations of these windows that I've ever seen, and it's done by the homeowner. So it just goes to prove that, taking your time, a nice conscientious effort, a job well done can be had by all. So anyways, that's our window install video. I'm Steve Basic Architect. This is our offsite build. Stay tuned. We're going to have a lot more coming from this project. But until next time, long live our buildings.